Holla, holla, holla. Happy New Year, because I wasn't here last week. Hi, it's episode 32 of White Heat, presented by Godzilla Media, presented by our good friends over at Johnstone Supply in Troy, and also by our good friends over at Mohawk Honda in Scotia, Glenville. New year, new me, right? Yeah, new goals. You want to get to the gym, lose a few pounds. Maybe you want to read the Bible a little more. Maybe you want to go, I don't know, dance around burning fires a little more. I don't freaking know. Point is, you want to start the new year off right by, setting good goals for yourself, to fulfill the spirit, fulfill the mind, body, and soul. Well, how about getting behind the wheel of a newer pre-owned vehicle that fits your budget and your New Year's resolutions, huh? Well, step into Mohawk Honda and check out their broad selection of pre-owned inventory. They are there to find the right make, model, and price point to fit your budget and your lifestyle. That's their goal, to help meet your goals, whether it be with Luisa VIP Man Morales, Jake Hot Sauce Doyle, Cars Svoboda, Cars with Kern, whether it be Mark from Clifton Park, Ellis Jr., whoever it may be. They'll hook you up with just the right deal at the right time. And right now, perfect time, because you can also still get the Kelly Blue Book instant cash offer that we had been talking about a while back with Mohawk Honda. It's still going on. So you got that, the instant cash offer. Plus, if you already had a pre-planned budget, you put the two together, bada bing, bada boom, maybe get a better vehicle than you thought you were going to get in the first place. Same day check in your hand the day you trade in the vehicle. Hey, you can also check out with Brian McKenna, Buy with BMAC, Mike Benice, Nicole, Cam McKenna, whoever you get, they're going to treat you right, like the customer, like the human being you want to be treated. Yeah. All their sales and leasing consultants, they are there to make your New Year's automotive goals their top priority. So start the new year right with the right deal at Mohawk Honda, Scotia, Glenville, where they always go out their way to please you. Hi, everybody. How you doing? Now you see my face. Now you see JJ's face for the first time in 2022. Woo.
Yeah.
Of course, we're here on YouTube. Visually, if you're just listening to us audioly, or I don't remember what the word is. I don't remember what the word is for just audio, but screw it. Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, wherever you chill and listen to all your great podcasts. We appreciate it. Don't forget, hey, you now have the ability to rate and subscribe us on Spotify and on Google Play and an Apple Podcast. So, the rating and subscription would be nice. And plus, of course, as usual on YouTube, you can always like our videos and subscribe to the Godzilla Media channel. That all being said, Mr. Alexander, Happy New Year. What's the scoop?
Not much. Just kind of chilling at home. Got out this past weekend. It was the first time I got out in God knows how long. Didn't have quite as adventure as you did, but it was a nice little weekend.
Yeah, for those, I don't think I really revealed this on the show. So, the wife and I took a nice little trip. The two of us, as well as her mother and her father, we went to Bahamas, took a little cruise. First time I'd ever been on a cruise. Her mom and father, they're regulars, like get a free cruise kind of regulars.
I got an uncle like that.
Yeah, so it was only my wife's second cruise ever, so it's still kind of a fresh concept to us. But I was cool with it. Aside from when I almost blew up my knee walking to dinner one night, that was cool. Yeah, it was. I took a corner
to take a dump in the sea.
It was a case where I was walking down a hallway and I just took a corner too tight.
Yeah,
and I don't know. It was just a writhing pain I couldn't stand for about 5 minutes. I couldn't move.
Oof.
Like I tried taking a step and it just wasn't happening. And then finally, it just the pain wore off enough where I could manage to get to the steakhouse for dinner. And thankfully, it's all good. But yeah, aside from that, it was quite fun. It was nice. It was nice to get out of the cold that we have here in the Northeast right now. Just get a few days, but. Anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about.
Speaking of knees.
Oh, yeah.
Surgery number 47 coming soon.
Yeah, I saw that. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm waiting to hear from the prep team. They said like I'd basically be in for like 3 or 4 days, and they would try to do it like do the surgery on Friday, do the culture over the weekend, get the results on Monday, release me like Tuesday morning. So I'll find out when that happens soon enough.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that's okay. All right. I mean, that's a positive way of looking at it. I like that.
I mean, worst case scenario, I will bring my friggin' rig with me and hook it up to the laptop in the friggin' hospital room. Wouldn't be the first time I've done lives from a hospital bed.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
But yeah, over the weekend, I had a little day trip on Saturday with the Real Housewives of Defiant Inc.
Oh boy! Oh
yeah.
Lord Almighty!
Yeah, my wife Shell and Carol. So.
oh God! Oh,
yeah,
that's a triple threat. I wouldn't even want to get in the ring with. Oh boy! Yeah.
But I introduced them to Ryan's Deli in Connecticut, which is the closest thing you will find to a Jewish Manhattan deli in the state of Connecticut, because the family originally came from Manhattan. And so good. And it was hilarious too, just because. So the way they have it set up, their handicap accessible seating is in the back, because I'm still on my fucking gimp scooter. So that's automatically where they sent us. So it's like, so we get there at 11 a.m. and where it is next to the bar. So they're like, what? They fucking know we're drunks? Like, sit us in the bar at 11 a.m. But yeah, so they were all happy. We found out Shell hates potato pancakes. And yeah, I was just like, you like hash brown? She's like, it's not the same thing. I'm like, it basically is, but whatever.
Shame.
But yeah, and I got my pickle green tomatoes, which is like the highlight of me going there.
I was going to say that I was going to ask if those are the pictures I saw you posting a few days ago. So now it all makes sense.
Right. But yeah, that's you get a Reuben there, and it's that fucking thick.
Nums.
And then after that, we went drinking, because we are drunks. We went up to Stafford to a cidery that just opened up about a year ago.
Ooh.
Crazy cock.
Stick that down your throat hole.
Oh yeah, especially because they have a spicy one on the menu that Shell wanted to try, but you have to order it by name. So it was great watching Shell trying to order a hot cock.
Yes.
Yeah, all in all, a nice day. All in all, a nice day.
Love it. All right, so we're just gonna break it open. In case you can't tell by the title of this episode, we're doing 2 parts because we skipped a week and there was so much shit the last 2 weeks.
Shit being the operative word.
Well, for most of it, yes. So what we're gonna do is, for this episode, we're gonna be doing strictly WWE based talk. We're going to be talking stuff in the ring, out the ring, whatever. And then part 2, which will be right near part A. That's the best way I could put it. That will be everything else. New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom, Impact's pay-per-view Hard to Kill, some MLW stuff, and of course, AWTF. Jake's knocked on wood. Any Hooser. So let's get into the WWE stuff. Obviously, we should start with the day 1 event. And before we even got to Showtime, before we could even roll the opening credits, oh, sweet mother of Jesus. So, not including executives, just strictly based on roster talents and predisposed conditions, the most potentially hazardous wrestler on the roster tests positive for COVID the day of the show, that being Roman Reigns, and is told, get the fuck out of Atlanta, or at least get the fuck out of State Farm Arena, which is actually apropos because the team that plays in that arena, the Atlanta Hawks, they've had COVID issues for a month now with their basketball team, so fuck all. So Roman is pulled from the card day of day 1. And so what they decide is, in all their infinite genius is to, instead of saying, Brock, well, sorry, no can do, they say, Brock, we're going to put you into the Fatal 4-Way and make that a Fatal 5-Way for the WWE title. And oh, by the way, we're just going to put the belt on you because fuck all. So before we get to anything else from the event, I need two angles from you on this. Number one, because this is kind of indie-rific the way this happened, in that, the quote-unquote card subject to change. So can you take us down the mindset that a booker, the leader of a company, takes when day of show something completely shits the bed on you, and you're just in mad scramble to figure out how the card is going to configure at that point? And then part B, your personal reaction to the ultimate decision that was made and how it was executed in the main event.
So I'm very familiar with card subject to change and having to switch around shit. I actually, like I said, when I first got into the business and I was doing commentary, I was also learning how to book through Mike Milano, and that shit happened a lot. There was one particular show I remember back in the day. Trying to remember what it was. One of our shows in Naugatuck, Connecticut, and literally like half of our second half of the show, we're all traveling in a van that busted an axle on the fucking New York Parkway. This was in the van was Tony DeVito, Vic Delicious, Hale Collins. Who else was in there? There was like two more guys. I'm forgetting right now. But so and also that show was the show after we had just put our title on Alpha Jr., who then got signed. And this is one of the, so nowadays Trips has been nice enough where if you get signed, you can finish out your indie dates. Back then, nope.
Right.
Didn't happen. So we had to scramble to fill the card and rekey a main event to crown a new champion.
And then obviously we know how big a mistake that turned out for well, I mean,
I love Alpha to death. He made some mistakes in his rise, but the creative team also made mistakes.
Right. That's why I hesitated to finish that statement, because like you just said, it was a two-way street with the fuckery that happened.
Yeah. I mean, like he like should, he shouldn't have like tried to cheat on a piss test because he smoked a joint.
Right.
But like them just shoehorning him in as, oh, you're Samoan, so boom, we're gonna make you a wild Samoan. Like, think about now. Think about how Roman and the Usos are now. Mm-hmm. That's how Alpha is every day. That's Alpha. He's one of the Usos. Like, that's how he's always been. He would fit right in with the fucking bloodline right now.
You bring up an interesting point, because I feel like there was a weird buffer period where I don't know if it was necessarily a Vince thing or if it was just inadequate writers at the time around him and producers. But you basically go from Wild Samoans, High Chief, Rocky Johnson, just think about the whole bloodline there, to head shrinkers, Rikishi, obviously one of the head shrinkers, but eventually later becoming Rikishi.
Yep.
And Yokozuna, Rodney. Then you go to Rosie and Jamal.
Yep.
One of them eventually becoming Umaga. But Umaga really only, in reality, his run, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was longer than 18 months, but in reality, the intimidation factor behind him only really lasted that long.
Yeah.
And then Rosie, we know what Rosie
Team with Hurricane. Yeah.
Right. It's like there was like a lull there where there wasn't necessarily a drop off in talent, and you mentioned Alpha Jr. and the way he was handled, and
at the same time, Sim Snuka, because they had broken up Deuce and Domino.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a buffer there for a decade or so where whoever was making decisions involving those particular talents at the time they kind of pigeonholed all the Samoan talent at that time.
Yep.
And they didn't really know what the fuck to do with it.
Exactly.
I mean, you took a Samoan and just randomly said, okay, you're a multi-generational talent. Just sit there with Cody and Ted Jr. and see what happens. Like,
right.
It's like,
right.
You know,
he never got a chance to shine. Yeah.
Right. It's just weird how a whole generation, essentially, when you really think about it, or part of a whole generation of Samoans just got the shit into the stick. And not for, I mean, obviously there's certain reasons with certain guys as to why that happened, but generally speaking, it's not to any fault of their own. It kind of makes you wonder, like, how do they go from here to there and then back to here?
Right.
Like, it was a weird V pattern that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And, and like I said, like, cause like, I remember when we first brought in Alpha Jr. because originally Mike didn't want to. Because he was sitting there, he got a phone call from Anthony Michaels or Mark Gore. It was one of the Untouchables. And they were like, oh, we got a friend. He's going to college in Connecticut. He's a worker, yada, yada. And I was talking to Mike about it. Like, yeah, they're trying to bring someone, blah, blah, blah. I was just like, who is it? And they said, apparently it's Alpha's son. And I was like, bring him in now. He's like, really? I'm like, dude, bring him in, because he was 300 pounds. He was playing football for UConn at the time. Fucking 300 pounds, fucking quick as a son of a bitch. And he was one of the first big guys that was doing moonsaults and topes and all that shit. And just the way he worked, like, was so crisp and so fluid. He didn't work like that pigeonholed Samoan style like they have Solo Sikoa doing. He worked like himself. And that was the beautiful thing about it. And it sucks that it got cut short with us. We brought him back after he got released, but it was only for a couple of shots. And then he kind of went off and started doing the Sons of Samoa gimmick, where he's basically a head shrinker.
And you mentioned Solo, and I don't know. We'll get back on.
We're jumping around. I know. Yeah,
we'll get back on track in a second, but I feel like it's a fair tangent to bring up because now you have Solo in the system. Mm-hmm. You never know what's going to happen with Jacob over at MLW, whether or not he eventually gets signed.
He won't.
So let's just focus in on Solo.
Yeah.
Is this another case of the continued V pattern? Or I mean, I think it's too early to judge right away. But if you base everything on the way booking has gone thus far with the new NXT, there isn't a whole lot to save Solo at this point until he gets a jump up to main roster. Like he's, it's just like I don't know. Like I'm at a loss. Yeah. Like it feels like until there's an actual transition at the top, I feel like that pattern is going to continue.
Yeah, I agree.
It's weird, and we'll get to transitioning at the top in a second because we'll come back to that when
But anyway, getting back to booking on the fly, there literally has not been a show since I relaunched DPW's Ascension Pro Wrestling. There's not been a single show where every talent advertised has actually showed up, and I've had to change a match on at least one match on every show.
Perfect example is the Just Incredible farewell match.
True, but that happened way beforehand. That was easy to fix. I'm talking about day of. Someone says this didn't happen. The 2 times I tried to book Mike Orlando, first time he had a car issue. The second time he completely forgot about the booking.
Right.
Like, so shit happens, and when shit happens, you just figure it out. It's something. It takes you can learn it. It just takes a really long time to learn. Like I said, I was learning how to book on my feet from,
day
basically one. Yeah, not quite day one, but
pretty close.
Pretty much since 2006, I will say. sitting there in the back going, what are we going to do? Who do we got? Yada, yada. Who can we call? Like there was one show we ran back in the day where there was another company that Joel Gertner owned called MXW, which went nowhere,
Yep.
but they booked a show the same day as us, 15 minutes away. And they had Christopher Daniels and Loki on their show.
That's awkward.
And like a third of the guys they had on their show were also working our show. Because they were like, oh, I can do a double shot because it's 15 minutes away. So we had to retool, and some guys they showed up and we were like, sorry, we had to fucking replace you. And you know what's great? We outdrew them that day. Ha ha, fuck you.
Fuck you, Joe.
No, but literally, there's an ebook that came out about 12 years ago called How to Book Pro Wrestling. And in it, there's a section where it's like stories from fans on nightmares from indie shows. And that show is mentioned about how badly it was put together. So we won on that day. But anyways, I digress. Yeah. But anyways, I digress. But yeah, it's like I said, it can be learned, and there's always a right way and a wrong way to do things. And I just think it's funny because like WWE, like obviously, like they've had to do things like this on times. AEW is completely lost in the dark when it comes to having to book on the fly. But the problem is also with the WWE is back in the day when you had to book on the fly, you actually had workers on your creative. Now you got TV writers and 2 retired workers and a retired worker's son and a dead worker's wife. And that doesn't work.
Well, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So getting to the match itself, that was the wrong thing to do.
The wrong thing to put Brock in it, or the wrong thing to have Brock go over?
The wrong thing to have Brock go over.
Okay.
Because number one, so obviously,
do you think Brock going over was ever the plan to begin with?
No.
Okay.
Nope. I do not think so. I think it's because Brock is only beholden to how many appearances per year, and he would actually be a dick about his contract and be like, well, it's not my fault my opponent showed up. You're still paying me for this, and it counts as one of my in-ring appearances. Like, so they had to use him. They had to get their money out of Brock. And that's what it came down to. But here's the problem. So number one, 5 ways already they're a clusterfuck. I hate 5 ways. 4 ways are okay. 6-pack challenges are okay. 5 ways are just a fucking mess. I'm not a fan of triple threats either because 75% of the time the finish is guy hits his finisher, heel shit cans that guy and pins the other guy.
Or if you have 2 faces and a heel, reverse the roles.
Exactly. So here you go. You got these 5 guys. This is the smart thing that they should have done because obviously now they're doing Brock versus Lashley, which high creative. Like, wasn't I just talking about that? So this is what they should have done. They should have had Brock and Lashley keep going at each other and fight off into the crowd somewhere. Still visible, not like fight off screen, but be away from the ring. The 2 of them hammering at each other. Meanwhile, in the ring, fucking Biggie, boom, Biggie, Seth, and Owens are there. Fucking Seth fucking takes a nasty bump to the outside and is there. Biggie hits the big ending on Steen, fucking pin him. Biggie's still your champ. That's what should have happened.
Yeah, they didn't have to do what they ended up doing in the Fatal 4-Way 2 nights later where they had them go to the fucking concourse.
Exactly. That's all they needed to do. So fucking... Who won that 4-way, by the way? I don't remember.
LSD.
No, God, that's right. Yeah, that's right, because that's set of him and Brock. That's right. So okay, so you go through this. Not only do you have Brock win, but you have him pin Big E flat. Like, I know it's like, there's no shame in losing to Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar is unstoppable. It doesn't fucking matter. You just took a guy in his first title run who's coming into his own, who needed to stay as champ, and you just fucking squashed him. And then the next night, you just completely eliminated him from the title picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the wrong fucking thing to do. I'm sorry. And yeah, it's it just made no sense to me. It made no sense. And I'm sorry, but then the following night, I cannot stand babyface Brock with babyface Heyman. It just does not work. I don't care that Heyman sat there and talked up Big E for 3 minutes. It doesn't work. Heyman's a fucking heel. Brock is an asshole. So he is a natural heel. Brock's out there. They're like, oh, but Brock, look, he's happy and he's enjoying it. He's taking pictures with fans, blah, blah. He's being instructed to take pictures with fans because he's a fucking babyface, because that's what babyfaces do. And he has to prove that he's a babyface because everyone knows he's a fucking asshole who hates the wrestling business. It has never been hidden about how much he hates people and he hates this business, but he loves the fucking money so he can buy more acres of land to raise more fucking cows to stay away from people.
Anything else before I move on?
No, just keep rolling. And yeah, that was my thoughts on that, though.
Okay. All right, so we'll roll back to Brock in a second. But as far as day one is concerned, so we have... All right, before we move on from that match, actually, I do need to comment one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know if you noticed LSD doing LSD things at one point in that match.
Such as?
Okay. So remember the whole shit show that was going on early in the match where... So Lashley spears Brock through the barrier.
The barricade.
Okay. Then Seth and Owens are trying to team up and lay out...
Shield bomb.
Yeah, they're trying to lay out E and... Well, no, I think they're trying to do a double suplex to Lashley through the table. Yeah. So they were basically trying to eliminate Lashley and E, so it was just the two of them and they could go in the ring and do whatever, hypothetically.
Right.
Lashley fights that off, but then Big E jumps up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice how shitty of a Uranagi he fucking took from Big E to go through that table?
Yep.
Motherfucker barely even jumped for it. He basically just kind of got in his tippy
toes
and he basically hoped E would do the rest. Like that was probably the shittiest Uranagi I've seen in a long time.
Yep.
Oh, fucking LSD, man.
So, and here's something. So before it escapes my mind, I just want to bring it up. Because this is something that I've been stewing on since they put the fucking title back on Brock.
Mm-hmm.
This is what really pisses me off, and it's specifically directed at the internet fans. Because like casual fans, whatever. But the internet fans, this is my fucking problem. You sit here and you bitch and moan about workers getting released, about blah, 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 blah. But then they bring back part-timers like Goldberg. Brock's a part-timer. And you sit there and bitch about people not being able to work. But then the second fucking Trashly or Brock's music hits, you fucking pop like a fucking child. And that is why they keep bringing them back. You can't have your cake and eat it too. If you're going to bitch about part-timers, fucking dig your heels in and don't give a fucking reaction. But no, it's fucking every fucking internet fan is a fucking hypocrite.
Now, the last little bit of fallout that I want to bring up is that this is... So within the first 6 to 12 hours after the show, I had not... Well, actually almost 24 hours. Within nearly the first 24 hours of the show ending, I still had cell phone reception before my boat left port. So I did a little Twitter research.
Mm-hmm.
I loathe the fact that people want to jump to the conclusion that, well, I guess King Woods is just going to have to win the Rumble and get redemption for the New Day now. Completely just writing off the idea of Big E winning the Rumble potentially, number one, let alone somebody outside of New Day. Because to me, and I didn't even really think about it till you brought up, because what I've also done, and we're definitely going to get to this in this episode, I've started a way too early WrestleMania card that we'll probably get to next week or 2 weeks from now.
Mhm.
And I was just trying to hash out who I think will win the 2 Rumble matches. And I honestly didn't think too long about E because I feel like there's another option for him for a Mania match, but E does make sense logically since he lost clean at day 1 and isn't getting a singles rematch at Rumble because Lashley won the Fatal 4-Way. So it makes sense, especially if you're not going to have a buffer pay-per-view, which I don't think they've officially announced if they are or not yet.
They announced other premium live events for the year, and there is no buffer between Rumble and Mania for the first time in God knows how long.
And can we just say how fucking stupid that name is? We've gone from pay-per-views to I know they're technically not pay-per-views because they're on Peacock now, but really, do we really have to label them? Just call them by their show name. You don't have to call them pay-per-views or premium live events. Just call them by their fucking name and let it go.
Listen, that is an NBC Universal thing.
No, you don't say.
That is their branding. Yeah. So WWE Premium Live Events, if you noticed, you can watch the Super Bowl on Peacock, and that is considered a premium live event. The Olympics are a premium live event because they are going. It's like I said, I'm not a fan of it myself, but that is an NBC Universal decision. That's not a WWE decision. And considering how much money they fucking got from them,
All right, so here's just to fill out the idea, not including NXT specials. That could happen.
Dude.
Here's the remaining premium live event schedule that has been announced for the rest of this year and WrestleMania for 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So the remaining events are obviously the Rumble coming up at the last Sunday of this month, the 29th.
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania 2 nights in Arlington at the Cowboys Stadium, April 2nd and 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 pay-per-views with no names yet for May and June. May is in Providence, June in Allstate Arena, which I believe was formerly the Rosemont Horizon, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
July is Money in the Bank, obviously, in Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it's interesting. So July has 5 Sundays. They put Money in the Bank on the first Sunday in July, right before the 4th of July, July 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're moving SummerSlam out of August and bumping it up to the final Sunday in July, because they're doing an outdoor SummerSlam in Nashville at the Tennessee Titans Stadium. And obviously that would be because the Tennessee Titans NFL training camp start at the end of July. So preseason games would start in August. Henceforth, they bump up WrestleMania so you don't completely fuck up the turf for the NFL season.
Yeah. It makes sense now, the reason they're having Money in the Bank in Vegas. Just because it seemed odd that they took Money in the Bank, which is one of the monthly ones, which they usually hold in like the 12 to 17,000 seat arenas. And they're having it where they held SummerSlam that holds fucking 70,000.
Because the transition.
Because they're doing less events this year, and they've really been trying to make Money in the Bank one of the big 5.
Right, because as of right now, after SummerSlam, the only events currently scheduled, and obviously this can change. There's premium live event yet to be determined that's supposedly going to happen Labor Day weekend in the first weekend of September.
That'll probably be Extreme Rules.
And then nothing currently scheduled until Survivor Series in Boston at the end of November.
So this is what happens when people bitch about too many fucking pay-per-views, is WWE actually cut back.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which could be just another budget move, considering all things. It might not be a permanent thing, but at least for this year, it might just be a budget thing because they've been doing all other things budget concerned. So
it also might be because of the rise of the re-rise of COVID, and they don't want to, take risks.
Right. And then the last thing, Survivor Series, WrestleMania for next year is scheduled for
LA.
LA for the new football stadium there, SoFi Stadium.
Yeah.
Um, so that means so including day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 9 premium live events, 10 nights because of
Mm-hmm.
the 2-night WrestleMania. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's not half bad. And then you got to
Remember that
figure.
year we had 15?
Yeah, remember the Attitude Era where it felt like there was one every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me. Yeah, it's funny because I was actually scrolling through the list and I went back. Let me see here. A really bad time was even 2020 if you really think about it.
Yeah. No, but it was like
20
2016 or something. We had like 14 or 15 in the whole year.
Well, 2020. Try to keep count for me real quick.
Okay.
2020, just 2 years ago, they
Mhm.
had Rumble, Super
Mhm.
Showdown, Chamber, Mania, Money in the Bank, Backlash, Extreme Rules, SummerSlam, Payback, Clash of Champions, Hell in a Cell, Survivor Series, TLC. I think that's 15 if I counted
13.
correctly.
That's 13.
I think that was 15.
That was 13.
We'll try again. Rumble, Showdown, Chamber, Mania, Money in the Bank. That's 5. Backlash, Extreme Rules is 7. Oh yeah, that is 13. Sorry. 2016. I'll go back to 2016 real quick, just for shits and giggles.
So actually,
2016.
Labor Day weekend, I'm guessing, is going to be a Saudi show this year.
Oh, fuck off. I didn't think of that. All right, so 2016, Rumble, Fastlane, Roadblock, Mania, Payback, Extreme Rules. That's 6. Money in the Bank, Battleground, SummerSlam is 9. Backlash is 10. Clash is 11. No Mercy 12. Hell in a Cell 13. Survivor Series 14. TLC 15. And then they had another roadblock at the end of the year for no fucking reason. So yeah,
So 16, like I said.
Jesus Mary. That was also though when they were still branding shit Raw or SmackDown shows.
Right.
Raw or SmackDown specific shows from
Right.
the end of September of that year up through the beginning of 2018. Then they eventually said fuck it and went back to co-branded shows pretty much ever since. Yeah. Which to me is smart because when you had brand specific shows, this even goes back to the Ruthless Aggression era too. I mean, half to 3/4 of the cards are typically watered down mush that nobody really gives a shit about, with 1 to 2 matches that you're really looking forward to. So
yeah,
it's really just better off. Which actually brings, I can't bring up that question yet. Go ahead.
The reason behind that is because that was the model that started with the In Your House pay-per-views. That was the problem, was so that what they would do the In Your House pay-per-views, which would be originally when they started, like they were fillers, like, besides the big 4, but the In Your House pay-per-views only cost $15. But then,
and they were usually only 2 hours.
Exactly. But that was what you got. You got your mid-card feuds and a title match. But then they were like, then when Attitude Era hit, they're like, okay, blah, 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 we're going to do monthlies, but we're going to charge full price monthly. And that's when they fucked their whole system, because if you're going to pay full price, you got to give a full price pay-per-view worth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So other than that, there wasn't really a whole lot to really. I mean, all the other champions retained. Usos, RK Bro, Becky, they all retained in their matches.
Whoa, Becky. I need to bring up Becky.
Did she fuck up that finish?
So I don't think Becky fucked it up. I think she was like,
trying too hard to be heelish in the way she got.
She was trying too hard to be heelish, but the thing is, so after that finish, they should have gone back to the creative team and been like, Liv doesn't get any more rematches because she just got beaten flat by the person she said can't beat her without cheating. She got beaten clean by the heel. Fuck off and go away. You should not be getting a fucking contenders match the next night. Fuck you. You suck. Go away.
Right, because she's in the triple threat that's going to be going on, because we're taping this Monday afternoon, January 10th. I believe she's in that triple threat number 1 contenders match tonight with Doudrop,
Bianca and Doudrop. Yeah.
Bianca, that's right. My assumption I can't see them doing a. I'm gonna say there's no way they do a third Liv Morgan match. They got to go to Bianca finally.
Right.
They got to go back to that well.
Unless they get smart enough and do drop and finally just say, fuck it, heel Becky doesn't work. Let's flip her baby face because she's the fucking Rock and people are going to cheer for her anyways.
Yeah, she is getting cheered regardless. Like, I mean, yeah, anything but Liv, honestly, from the three is what we're at.
Right.
Yeah. The only other real thing of note was Beth showing up towards the end of the Edge Miz match, which
I told you was going to happen.
Which anybody with half a fucking brain could have seen coming with Maurice being involved for the previous few weeks. My only thing is, I don't see any direction to go beyond this intergender tag match or mixed tag match, however they're going to pose it. So, I mean, obviously, it would be hard to stretch it for 2.5 months to get to Mania, but
it's to give a clean slate, and it's to keep Miz and Edge out of the Rumble match.
Right. So my question becomes, where do you go with Edge for Mania?
That's what you figure out the night after the Rumble. And you see who you do. Like, we'll see.
Can I give a hypothetical real quick?
Sure.
I'm only going to throw this name out there because he legitimately has nothing going on anymore at this point. Now that the program he was involved with has come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like this is a match he would want before. And I can't even remember if he's had this match yet since coming back. Because he started with all the Randy Orton shit.
Yeah.
Then he had the shit with Seth.
Yeah.
That's always really anything. It was pretty much Orton, Seth, and Miz, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Roman, obviously.
And Roman.
Roman and Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm only mentioning this name because he literally has nothing going on at this point, even though he just got jobbed out and made to look like shit last week on Raw. What about AJ Styles?
We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. And AJ is a possibility. I think an even better possibility would be Finn Balor.
I can see that. I was kind of thinking Finn maybe in the U.S. title picture going into Mania, but Finn would be a good fit too, I think. I was
Demon
thinking,
versus Brood.
Yeah. If you want to go for the
Even flip Finn heel because he's never been heel on the main roster. So do it.
Yeah, I'd like that. That'd be good. That'd be intriguing, actually. Yeah, I think I'll amend that in my way too early WrestleMania card later on. Any hooser.
I mean, like it could be him and AJ too, but God knows what the fuck they're doing with AJ. They fucking job him out flat to fucking Giant Gonzalez, and then God knows they're probably gonna fucking have him fucking do the job to this fucking kid next week on NXT.
Yeah, that's the only reason I was hesitant about saying having AJ written down originally is because the recent thing has been not really recent, the long time tradition, the long standing tradition.
Time honored tradition.
Yeah, thank you. That's the phrase I was looking for. Fucking stupid fucking phrase. But anyways, has usually been it's somebody that's on the rise or is already at that level where they just need to get in and get it done that wins the Rumble. So, Drew was an obvious choice a couple years ago. I mean, it was, usually the winner on the men's side, at least, is usually pretty obvious, or is one of the top contenders that would be obvious. Yeah. Yeah, I just, for whatever reason, I kind of thought AJ would be a nice difference, a nice change of direction in that thought process. But
Yeah.
now that I think about it, I think he'd really be more of a leading candidate for the Edge match at Mania than anything else.
Yeah.
All right, so we get to Raw and SmackDown. Raw. Is it me or is this like here's where I'm going to start with it though. Is this every single week it just feels like this Austin Theory Vince McMahon shit just gets more and more cringy. Like,
Yes.
and I actually decided to pay attention and watch every second of that 90 seconds pre-tape this week.
Yeah.
I
It's one of those things.
Vince being on camera is ruining the way I like to remember Vince from 25 years ago.
Yes.
Like you ever like, and this is me going to an extreme, but bear with me for the analogy I'm about to make. I'm not saying everybody has this experience, but there are people out there, and I'm one of them that has this, where you go through childhood and even into early adulthood with a certain image and memories of somebody, the way they were at one point.
Yep.
And then later on in life, when you get older, that person obviously gets older, and maybe they start to fail.
Yes.
And those last few years they're alive, you try to block out because you want to remember them for the way they were
right
back then.
Yep.
That's kind of the feeling I'm getting with Vince at this point. Like, even 5 years ago, I could stand Vince.
Yeah.
But now he's at a point where he obviously isn't holding as much weight as he used to because you're not supposed to hold that kind of weight at his age.
Right.
So now it's the point where he's starting to look and sound old. Like, he was starting to look old 5 to 10 years ago, but he wasn't quite sounding old yet.
Right.
Now he's to a point where both are happening.
Yeah.
And anybody who remembers the Vince of even just 10, 15 years ago, they got to be like, dude, just stop.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
don't do it. Just stay on the headset, or better yet, get away from the headset. Like, fuck off. It's just, man,
yes.
It's just hard to watch, man.
It is. Vince looks like he should be propped up in the balcony between Waldorf and Statler. Like, no.
I don't know. It's just awkward. And the worst part is, it's inhibiting the opportunity to allow, like, what growth is Austin going to get from these segments?
That's the problem, is they think that Vince doing the segments with Austin is going to give him the rub, and it's not the same. It's not the Vince rub of, 1997.
There's no character growth to be established here.
Right. Like, just let the kid be on his own. Like, let the, how do I put this? It's like, why are you trying to impress Vince? Like, in all honesty, it would work better if, I hate to say this, but it would work better if it was Stephanie there and he was trying to impress Stephanie.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows Stephanie's the chief brand officer. Everyone knows that, so Stephanie can be like, I need what's best for the brand. And that's so they could work it in and just leave Vince out to fucking pasture.
That makes you wonder, where the fuck has she been?
She got kids. COVID's going on. She's staying in Stamford.
True. It's fair.
Same thing with trips.
I don't think I've ever asked this before. How far away are you from Stamford?
Stamford from my house is about 35 minutes. Depending on traffic.
I need a tank, hard helmets. Kidding. Totally kidding. Although it's a fairly cool idea, but no, I wouldn't do that to us. Anyways, let's see. What else depressed me about Raw? Did anything?
The dragged out fucking shit with Damian Priest and Dolph to end in nothing.
Yeah, like they basically they're trying, and this has been going on for a while now. They basically got to a point where they've been really pushing this whole Damian having an evil side to him. Yeah, like it's goofy, honestly, and I don't. You know, there's nothing fresh to it. It's no good. It doesn't feel right. It just not even feel right. It's just goofy. That's just the bottom line. It's goofy.
And fucking goddamn Omos, like what the fuck you get? He can't fucking work. He can't fucking work.
I don't know what you do with. Like, where do you even go with that from like? Okay, he was with AJ. They had the titles for a long time. They dropped the belts. Now they broke up the team. Now what the fuck do you do with him?
Plus, on top of it, and let me just sidebar here, but how? Like, I'm glad I wasn't the only one that asked this question. Like, I saw, like, Mike Johnson from PW Insider ask this question. And I saw, like, it might have been Bob Evans or Danny Cage ask this question as well. How is AJ the babyface in this? AJ is the one that ran Omos up and down. And called him fucking stupid. And then Omos was just like, fuck you, I'm done. That's the typical babyface setup for Omos, but Omos is the heel. I mean, Omos, yeah, and AJ is the baby. It doesn't make sense
because Omos is huge and AJ is tiny.
And how many giant fucking monster heels have we had,
dude? You gotta remember who's running the show.
Viscera, fucking.
You just got to remember who the fuck is running the show still, all right? And that should answer all your questions. Listen, it's not a good answer. The last big guy I can remember who was face was Greek Khali, and the best thing they could do with him was doing the stupid-ass kiss cam Punjabi Playboy shit.
I kind of dug that shit.
It was kind of funny, but it was...
Rajan Singh was just having a good time.
Well, yeah. But it was... I don't know, just... Let's see what else. Anything? I mean, the Miz Edge segment was what it was.
Set it up for the Rumble, like I said a month ago.
I know that KO just says whatever the fuck he wants to say 99% of the time when they put him on camera with a live mic.
Yep.
Do you think there's any... And again, like I said, it's typically just random bullshit he's saying. But do you think there might be any value to what the fact he keeps bringing up Sami Zayn recently?
I haven't noticed. I mean, they could put them back together. It would be nice.
Because I was just thinking, yeah.
Like they even when they put them together when they flipped Sammy heel, a couple of years ago during the Shane shit, they never really like had a tag team run, and like they're a hell of a tag team.
Like, I'm trying to think. Give me a moment while I do this. The tag team picture on Raw right now. So you have the Profits. You have the Hurt Business, although they're not really the Hurt Business. I don't know what the fuck they are at this point. You have Alpha Academy. You have the Mysterios, God bless our souls. You have Ziggler and Rude. RK Bro, obviously. I mean, it's not an unhealthy tag division, but it's just... I don't know. It feels like it's missing... I just don't feel like any of those heel teams really pop out at me as legitimate contenders at this point. Like, it feels like your legitimate contenders at this point are just the Profits and RK Bro, probably, and they're both face teams right now.
Right.
Alpha Academy, it's a stretch, but maybe. Ziggler and Rude, they've been getting shit on so much recently with the Damian Priest stuff, it'd be hard to rebuild them again.
Right. And these are guys, and those are guys that were tag champs 6 months ago.
Right. Like maybe Apollo and Aziz, but I mean, what's that really? Who knows the fuck they're gonna do with the Mysterios moving forward? Like, it's
get rid of both of them.
Oh no shit. It's a tag division where basically you have two face teams and then a whole bunch of shit underneath that isn't getting any shine at all to set up a legitimate face heel tag team rivalry.
Right.
Which is what makes me wonder if there's any stock in KO mentioning Sami Zayn recently.
It would be nice, because like I said, they were a hell of a fucking tag team in their day.
And it's not like Sami's doing anything valuable in SmackDown right now.
Well, I mean, he's got that Intercontinental title match that they keep bumping off every week.
You know Nakamura hasn't defended that belt in over 4 months?
He has defended it, just not on pay-per-view. Or premium live event.
4 months!
I know.
It's only like the third... No, I wouldn't include... No, fuck the Universal title. It's only the second most valuable championship in the history of that company.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where it's... The reason is because... So, they're using Nakamura right now to get Boogs over, which I will get to in a moment. But... No. They need to strap a fucking rocket to Rick Boogs.
I agree, but to use A to get to B, fucking... Ugh.
I know it's like, but it's like you can't put this guy with him. That obviously he's jacked like a son of a bitch. He can work. He is over like a motherfucker no matter what he does. And you keep him as the second banana to the Intercontinental Champion. Like, obviously, if you turn Boogs heel, you're fucking stupid because he is fucking white hot babyface. Mm-hmm. If you turn Nakamura heel, that would be even worse. If you fucking try to split them to do a fucking Intercontinental title bit match between them, no, that's not the right route to go. Like, it's just, they don't, it's, you know, like, it's one of those things where they concentrate too much on the mid-card title on Raw and not on the mid-card title on SmackDown. It's like, fucking, it's ridiculous. It's because Vince, and I've covered this before.
It's weird because he felt like when Cruz had the belt, they did push it a lot on SmackDown. And now, for whatever reason, now that's on Nakamura, they haven't done jack shit with it.
Because basically, it goes back to the whole Raw is Vince's baby. And Vince wants Raw to be the flagship program and wants Raw to have more viewers. But SmackDown is pulling in more. And so he just has the writers put SmackDown on autopilot. Because he's like, oh yeah, they have all their technical matches over there. We need more people to watch Raw. Go ahead.
Can I provide a partial reasoning behind the ratings that you just mentioned?
Sure.
Is it possible that a partial reasoning behind that going on is, for lack of a better phrase, the Fox push?
Yes.
Because literally everywhere you fucking turn on Fox, whether it be during football games or whatever the fuck, it's SmackDown this, SmackDown that. There's literally like a SmackDown commercial. It feels like at least once an hour, sometimes twice an hour on every fucking show they have on Fox, which I have no problem with. I'm all for it. But it's just like, it's like Fox... NBC Universal, which USA is partially under the umbrella of, they've gotten complacent in marketing WWE because it's NBC Universal. Right. Like, they've been in bed together since Saturday Night's Main Event in the 1980s.
Right.
Like, and even before, like, I mean, it's like since
before NBC owned USA and Viacom.
Right. When Dick Ebersol wasn't quite a household name in the world of sports and was growing a sports franchise than NBC, that's why they've gotten complacent at this point. They've had a relationship for over 35 years. Whereas Fox, they understand the prized possession they have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they know it's never going to be NFL. It's never going to be Major League Baseball. Although I'd argue WWE is probably a better market share than they get out of baseball games.
Oh yeah.
Aside from the local markets that they're being that they're the games for the teams of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue WWE is their second biggest market share, probably, aside from the NFL at this point.
Absolutely.
Because I don't believe they have. Do they still? I'm trying to remember. NASCAR might be close, but other than that, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
NASCAR.
basically it's basically the NFL and then WWE and NASCAR. Like, those are their big drawing powers from a sports perspective. So I don't know. It's just weird. Like, that complacency is set in.
And I really want
it's
you.
making that
I
happen.
want you to remember that Fox push thing when we get to part 2 of the episode.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Was there anything else really from Raw? I don't think so. Okay, SmackDown. So they start the show with a tease. Not really a tease. Basically, just Brock coming out and saying, "I got what I want at day one, even with you not in the building. So let's just unify these bitches."
Which is not going to happen.
No. Roman basically says, "Fuck you." Superman punch, walks away.
Well, no. So here's the thing. There was more because there was the whole Heyman telling Brock, "Don't talk to Roman like that." And then like Heyman getting all sympathetic. And here's the reason why babyface Heyman with babyface Brock doesn't work. And this, so this happened on SmackDown. Yeah. So Heyman just like, "Don't talk to me." He's like, "You don't understand. This is all I had, yada, yada." And he's being sympathetic. And then Brock's like, "Shut up, Paul." Like, that's not what a babyface does.
Right.
So, like I said, it's going to end up like, what's going to happen is Brock's going to get fucked for the title. And then we're going to end up having Roman and Brock at Mania instead of at Rumble like we were supposed to. So, no Rock this year.
Right.
Which means we're going to have to hold off until fucking Mania next year in Hollywood, like Roman originally teased like a year ago. Which, that's going to be a bitch. But, so, like, and we're going to get the Heyman turning on Brock and going back with Roman thing that was going to happen at day one. Because heel Heyman is what works. Heyman and Roman worked well together. And no one would ever expect Heyman to turn on Brock, even though he's done it before.
So you're telling me we have to sit through another 2.5 months of this shit?
We're going to have to sit through Brock losing the title to Lashley at fucking Rumble, and then Brock going back on the hunt for Roman. And hopefully, if they're fucking smart, they'll do some shit like, "This is your last title opportunity ever." Because there's no way Brock has more than 3 fucking wrestling dates on the calendar. Unless he has one reserved for fucking Saudi. Because Goldberg has that contract.
Yeah, I just really don't want. Will this make what, 3 Manias with Brock Roman?
Yeah.
Because the first one was a Seth cash-in.
Yeah.
The second one was Brock
him beating him clean,
winning, I believe.
Yeah. Which was a fucking bullshit. Everyone thought Roman was winning, and then fucking, yeah, they kept it on Brock, and it was like, fuck you.
I'm trying to remember which one will. Okay, so all right, I'm just making sure my mind is clear here. The first one is where everyone was anti-Roman.
Yep.
I think that was also the year where Rock came out and raised Roman's hand at the end of the Rumble in Philly, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
because everybody wanted it. Well, everybody was
Daniel
thinking
Bryan to
Daniel
be in
Bryan,
it. Yeah.
right? But that was the year they had Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt open the show, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And that's why they had the Seth cash in to relatively appease.
Yeah.
Then they had the second one where Roman was actually hot and had support, and they said "fuck you" and pulled the rug out from under him.
Yep.
And then that led to the whole bullshit going through the cage thing later on, and
In Saudi.
all.
Yep.
So historically speaking, you'd be closing a 6-year long story, 5-year long,
Right.
7.
Yeah.
Because this is 38, correct?
Yeah.
I think this would be.
No, this is 37.
Yeah. No, this is 38. This year's 38.
Is? Oh yeah.
Huh. Yeah, because 24 would be 40.
Okay.
And the first one I think was San Fran 32 or 31. Hang on, let me think about this.
I don't remember.
Let me think about
All
this.
I know is that in the grand scheme of things, Roman only has one win over Brock.
Yeah, so 31 was the first one in Santa Clara.
Yeah.
Which was 2015. So you're closing a 7-year-old story, basically.
Right.
And you're closing it the right way. Like, the right guy is, like, at least, rephrase. The 7-year-old story should close the right way with Roman going over.
Right.
But who the fuck knows? Because it's Vince.
Right. But I mean, it's just, but this is the route they're going to go, because they're not, no matter how much the fucking internet talks about it, because they need to realize that they are not the center of the universe and that they are a very small voice in a very large canyon. Like, they don't seem to realize, like, I've said it before to a lot of people, like when people are like, I can't stand this and blah, 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 because of, on social media. And I'm like, you need to realize social media is not the majority of the people. It's the minority that are very loud. And that doesn't always compute to anything. It's just, old man yelling at cloud, or yelling into a fucking sewer pipe so it echoes. Yeah, it's louder. It doesn't matter. It's not going anywhere. Vince is not going to do a title unification match. Number one, because then he's going to have to deal with NBC Universal and Fox bitching. That's the number one thing. Correct. Is they're going to, the reason there's 2 fucking heavyweight titles is because of where the shows are and what companies have the contracts to those. And neither one of them is going to budge on, we're going to share one champion. Fuck you. That's the business aspect that no one wants to talk about. That's the elephant in the room. But number 2, Vince ain't going to do a title unification fucking 3 months after fucking New Japan just did it.
Yeah.
And after fucking Impact did it just last year. Even though that wasn't even a title unification, because one was an actual title and one was a replica belt from fucking Afghanistan.
And I wouldn't even say New Japan was a unification. Like, technically it wasn't really unification.
But still.
Because the only reason that whole situation came up is because COVID. And being white hot.
Well, no, it came up because Ospreay got injured and then was like, oh, I'm not injured as I thought I was. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't know.
But New Japan also did a title unification the year before that. So New Japan did title unifications 2 years in a row.
Oh, right. Because they put together
the Intercontinental and the heavy. Yeah.
Which to this day, I have no fucking clue why they even did that, but
I don't know.
But see,
that's for episode 2.
Too many fucking titles.
Yep.
Too many fucking titles. You didn't need the US strap. You fucking created it for shits and giggles.
Dude, I saw a fucking flyer for some indie show, I think in PA that's happening. And they have and they had a match listing and fucking 6 of their 8 matches are for titles. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
No indie company should ever have more than
3. Head, middle, tag. That's it. Women's, if you have 4.
Right. If you're a company big enough with a worthy women's division, then yeah, 4. I just like, you know what? Honestly, I know, tangent, because fuck all. That's how we are. Wouldn't it just? I know they created a strong title. Wouldn't it have just made fucking sense for them to say, okay, take the US belt, put it in New Japan Strong, bring back the Intercontinental for the main brand.
Yeah, it would have.
Why don't we? Never mind. I think you know what I was going to ask. So,
I don't know.
Call us, anyways.
Oh, I'd get fired in the first week.
I don't know about that. All right, so this brings me to the grand finale of SmackDown, because really there was nothing else really exciting or noteworthy aside from Charlotte starting to look sickly.
Oh yeah, we didn't mention that. So Charlotte, that was the big thing on SmackDown.
Oh yeah, the ladies Royal Rumble reveal. Hang on, let me pull this up because I have the list in front of me. I was typing it as they were naming them off. Here's the list.
I know. Yeah, go ahead.
Rhea, Mickey ASH, the Bella Twins, Shotzi, Natalya, Michelle McCool, Dana Brooke, Carmella, Zelina. That's 10, 7, 8, 10. I'll skip the next one that was named for now. Tamina, Kelly, Aaliyah, Summer Rae, because we really fucking need her, Naomi, Shayna Baszler, Lita, and then eventually Charlotte just says, fuck it, I'm your Brock Lesnar for this year.
So that's 19 of the 30 spots.
Well, we didn't get to the elephant in the room that I didn't mention in the list.
It's 18 of the 30 spots and the one that you were leaving for the end, which will be 19. And before you do it, let me just say, I am very happy that Summer Rae's in it. I have always been a proponent of her. If you watch her early, 2013 NXT shit, the gimmick Charlotte is doing now was Summer Rae in 2013.
See,
I've always liked Summer Rae.
Shit. I don't
go back on the Peacock and watch early fucking NXT. Summer Rae was so fucking good. Summer Rae was so fucking good back then, and when they brought her up to the main roster, they just made her a fucking side fucking piece to everyone. Summer Rae is so fucking good.
Go back on the Peacocks. Look it up, son. So the elephant in the room that I didn't mention on that list, because Charlotte's a whole topic in of itself.
Basically, preface, like before, bro, is Vince got tired of hearing a certain term, so he said, fuck it, hold my Ica Pro.
Mickey fucking James?
Fuck yeah.
So, there's a lot of questions that I can bring out of this. Let me start with the ultimate one that you were just hinting towards. Can we just be honest and tell ourselves the Forbidden Door was just a mythological term that people came up with on the internet 20 years ago and never really fucking existed? It was just Vince had certain ways of doing things, and that's why this hypothetical Forbidden Door even existed in the minds of everyone?
Absolutely. And that's some. I was listening to one of Cornette's episodes like a month ago, and he was talking about the old Royal Rumbles, like 93, 94, 95. Which is where they would bring in guys from the territories, like the territories that were left. So that's why you have
your Dick Murdoch. Where the fuck did you come from?
Dick Murdoch, Dory Funk, Kabuki, fucking bring them in.
Kabuki. The random reappearance of Bob Backlund before he became Mr. Bob Backlund. What the fuck? It would also be a random excuse to pull. Oh, what was it? Which Rumble was it? I know it was in the Garden. I can't remember which year it was. They decided to drag Jimmy Snuka and Roddy Piper out of the adult home and put them in the ring again one more time.
Yeah, well, Snuka had like that comeback for like 3 weeks, like the year that they did where they had Razor win the Intercontinental title.
Mhm.
Snuka actually came back the week before that and was in that battle royal the following week, and then had like 2 more matches. It was basically that one taping,
Right.
but they were gonna give
Thanks,
him like
Jimmy.
another chance.
They was that during the time where like he was working like ECW dates, like early ECW dates?
Um, this is after that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Jesus. Yeah, because those are
and then
like
he went back to ECW.
those real early ECW dates. They were bringing guys like him, Road Warrior Hawk.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of the different
Eddie
guys.
Gilbert.
Yeah, Eddie. Yeah, well, this is when Eddie was still booking, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Holy shit. All right. So,
The Super Destroyers.
like, all right. So now this brings me to the next question.
Yep.
So, Jeremy Borash
Yep.
has been in WWE for a while now. I can't
Yes.
remember the exact number, but it's been a while.
It's been a few years. Yes.
By the way, good for you, Tom Hannafin, new voice of Impact Wrestling. Thank God, because I was getting sick of Josh Matthews.
You mean Tom Phillips?
Well, Hannafin's is real. Never mind.
But the thing was, that's not who he replaced. He replaced Matt Stryker.
Oh yeah.
They fired Matt.
Whatever. Anyways, it was always insinuated before AEW came along that like there was this weird unspoken but like agreed upon partnership, because that's how like Jarrett like came back into the fold, was like this weird coexistence that was going on between Impact and WWE.
It was basically after Impact left Spike TV and basically after the Dixie era. After that was done, then Vince was like, they're not competition. They're never going to bother me.
Right. Yeah, it's just, I guess, so the question becomes, all we've seen for a couple of years now, since AEW came into existence, was their partnership with Impact. But now all of
Impact
a sudden,
got royally fucked on.
Right. So now, is this a case of WWE didn't need them during that period of time, so it just kind of was a partnership that disappeared? Or is this a case of Impact having pie in their face from the AEW shit, and now they're crawling back to WWE to try and make amends?
This is what I think. And this is just speculation. This isn't me like having an inside source. This is just from what I see. What I see is Impact is, they're on Access. They're not really, moving major numbers and everything, but they would like to be. They've become more of an alternative for ex-WWE guys to go where they'll actually get screen time versus, fucking Tony Khan, where you get that one spot and then you're relegated to YouTube. And like I said, this is just me spitballing. Millionaires and billionaires kind of congregate in the same places. Who's to say Vince didn't have, or Steph didn't have a chance meeting with Mark Cuban, who owns Access, and Access owns a portion of Anthem, I believe, who are the parent company of, it's like down the steps we go. And maybe was just, hey, I know you're trying to make your developmental brand something more than it is. But you got guys that need experience. And since you've taken a bunch of our guys in the past, why don't we work out some sort of a deal? And obviously, because it's been there with the shit like The Rock doing the pre-recorded thing for Ken Shamrock for their Hall of Fame. I think that that's the path we're going down, where we'll see a little bit of drips and drabs here and there. We'll see Mickey James in the Rumble. You may see MSK show up at the Poughkeepsie pay-per-view to team up with Trey Miguel one last time as the Rascals. Or you may see Bobby Roode show up there to reunite with James Storm for a match as Beer Money. So it'll be little drips and drabs. And then basically that'll be the litmus test to see how things are working and if they are working. And if so, that could be very well the, like Impact could be their new Deep South. I wouldn't say OVW, but I'd say Deep South, where they could send their rookies over there to work their guys, so they're not in front of the PC crowd every fucking time. So they can learn how to work other crowds. They can work house shows. And plus that way, it gives some WWE recognition to the Impact name. Do I think Vince is going to buy Impact? No, I don't think so. But I think that he is willing to do the working relationship with them,
right?
Because they need some help. And Vince knows that they're never going to overtake him. He sees what they are. They're a studio wrestling show. And just, it might be the old man getting soft in his old age.
Okay.
But I think it's a good thing all around. And I think it could lead to some very exciting things, WWE is definitely going to get more of the shine off of it, but that's not to say that we're not going to have some fun with Impact. I mean, as it is, WWE, just with Mickey James, WWE did more to promote Impact in that 30 seconds than AEW did the entire time they were doing that partnership. That partnership was so fucking one-sided. It was AEW gets free ad space on Impact every fucking week. And in trade, you got fucking Kenny Omega to come in and do 2 studio tapings. And a bunch of pre-recorded shit from a fucking bus that they could slide in. Like, you never saw an Impact guy on AEW that wasn't named Gallows or Anderson. And it literally, it was so Gallows and Anderson could fucking double dip on pay. And so they could fucking sucker them. And at the end, they just left him. Tony Khan, Mr. I'm a billionaire, but Tony Khan could have probably bought Impact for pennies on the dollar and had their library and wanted to start a fucking streaming service and blah, blah, blah. And fucking, he would have fucked it up. But now, because Impact got scorned flat out, I mean, Scott D'Amore's not the smartest motherfucker in the world, but he knows after he's got fucked in the ass not to go back to get fucked again. And now, very well, that fucking Vince could fucking ink a deal with fucking Impact to have fucking their shit go on Peacock, like under the WWE Network name, and have it licensed for however many, whatever. So people can go back and they can watch the Kurt Angle's AJ Styles shit. Like, Impact in its heyday was a lot of ex-WWE guys or guys that eventually transitioned to WWE. So it's logical. And fucking Danny Cage said it best when he put out the tweet about, people like, oh, it's only going to last this long and blah, 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 and they're already shitting on it. He's like, treat it like the first time you had sex. Like, did I send that to you?
Yes, you did. Yes,
yeah.
You did.
Yeah. But I mean, so like, I'm wholeheartedly open for it. And I think in the end, it's going to help Impact get some eyes on them and get them some more pay-per-view buys. And I think it's going to give a little, it's going to give a little bit of fresh detailing to WWE. I mean, like I said, you'll see drips and drabs. You'll probably see like Heath or Rhino be a surprise entrant in the Rumble. You're not going to see shit like Moose versus Roman Reigns because they're smart enough not to let Moose anywhere near a WWE ring.
Yeah. So this actually is a good transition because, and we'll get to NXT. We will. But this is a way for us to transition out of main roster and into NXT. A bunch of WWE admin behind the scenes cuts were made in the last week. Mm-hmm. And because we mentioned Impact, I'm going to mention one name immediately. Not sure you're going to be in favor of it. But I think this is a name that Impact could snatch up and could further help this partnership of sorts that seems to be coming with WWE. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
You probably know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Gabe Sapolsky being released from WWE last week is the most logical name I can think of out of any of the ones that are out there right now. Where Impact can go, look.
So
all your Evolve shit is now owned by WWE at this point.
Uh-huh.
Instead of trying to start fresh on your own, come in and do your work with us. Because I feel like if anybody can have any positive enforcement of sorts on the trajectory of Impact, I think he'd be one of those guys that can come in backstage and make that kind of impact. I was trying not to use the word impact, but fuck it. Who can do that pretty quickly.
See, I'm a yes and no on that. I think Gabe is burnt out. Honestly, I don't think he is what he once was. Proof in the pudding being him being the fucking person behind the fucking astronomical push of the fucking Great Value Goths. That was all his doing, and he gladly admits it. So I fucking right there. I think he's burnt out. Also, I think he's burnt out from the hours and having to be in Florida. I don't believe. I think that he wants time to himself. I think with the acquisition of the Evolve library, I'm sure he got paid a pretty penny for that. He could easily go into retirement right now if he wants to. And spend time with his family. Because that was one of the things when he was running Evolve and Dragon Gate, was he talked about how he was working 80 hours a week and how he didn't really have time for his family. So now he's got that family time. He's got a good nest egg in the bank from the Evolve tape library. So really, it just I think it's time for him to sit back and relax. I don't think he would want to go on the road with Impact. I think it'd be a good time for him to recharge his batteries because, as it has been said about some of the people that were released, it was always thought that if Trips took over the main roster, this would be his core set of guys to lead the creative. So I think let Gabe sit home, rest on his laurels. So, he's got the money, let him chill, let him be a family man. And then come the time when Trips takes over the main roster, have Gabe come in. And because it's an easier transit from Long Island to Stamford to fucking work on the shit than it is to fucking Long Island to fucking Florida every week. So that's I think that Impact just especially if there's this partnership starting to bud between WWE and Impact, I wouldn't suggest Impact bring in any of the guys WWE just released to help run their shit, because I'm pretty sure WWE will send some of their people to help with their shit.
Fair enough. I mean, I could see that. The rest of the people released.
On the flip side, I could see WWE hiring back Matt Stryker to have him teach promo class down in NXT.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. All right, so the list I have also includes a few in-ring talents that I honestly was not aware of being released. So here's the full list.
Thatcher and Danny. Yeah.
More than that. One more other than that. And it's the first name I have here on this list. Samoa Joe is gone again.
Yeah. No big loss.
Yeah. I mean, one of those things where once he dropped the belt to
Cross. Or no, yeah, Cross. No, he didn't even drop the belt.
Ciampa. Oh, he walked away.
He vacated. Yeah. He was there as a means to an end. He was there because they painted themselves into a corner with Cross, and they just needed to get the belt off him. And so they were like, fuck it, just have Joe do it, and then fucking strip him.
Right. At this point, I would assume this means A, a return to Impact, or B, he waits for
He's
Ring
not.
of Honor to reopen.
He's still not medically cleared. Like that's probably like
I
he
don't know.
really wasn't medically cleared when he had that match with Cross.
I mean, he's still going to want to get back in there regardless, though. Regal being released, William Regal.
That
Um,
made me sad.
yeah. What's the? Is this really like they're really trying to strip any Triple H touches away? It feels like now to the point they've gotten to the point where they're stripping away Regal. Road Dogg is one of the cuts. Gabe's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like a chiseling away until they form this statuesque look that they want.
Right. And what's going to happen is they're going to hit the chisel one too many times and it's going to shatter. And like I said before, Trips is going to have to come back in and make a mosaic out of the fucking pieces. But here's my thoughts on it. Because yes, it does suck. And it does seem that way as though they're just trying to get rid of every remnant of Trips that's left there. First off, Michaels is still there. If
right,
Michaels had been like
that's the one surviving factor now.
Michaels and Matt Bloom and Sarah. All three of them are still there. It's also you need to look at the people that were there in charge and how long they've been there and like I said, this is nothing against them and the talents and what they produced. But sometimes you need a fresh coat of paint and you need new eyes. And so that's why if you haven't seen, but yes, they got rid of Road Dogg, they got rid of Rajan Singh, they got rid of Cats, who was doing promo class. They got rid of all of them. However, look at the people who are taking over coaching there. Walter, Ciampa, done.
Yeah.
You're getting younger guys.
It's a good trade.
You're getting younger guys. Right. You're getting younger guys who are going to teach people the newer way of things. Like I fucking love Regal. I fucking love Road Dogg. But for the most part, their style has gone by the wayside. You need people who have the innovative styles like Ciampa and Dunn. And you want someone to crack the fucking whip on the students, man. Walter's going to make them all learn today. Because Walter is officially, he's having his last hurrah in UK this week, and he is moving to Florida. People thought that Bill DeMott was rough. Wait till Walter's running classes.
Yeah. But I think at the same time, I think he'll get a sitting down before doing anything. Bill never had the sitting down beforehand.
True. But I feel like Walter's going to teach him the way Dory taught the guys in the warehouse. Walter's going to be a callback to the Funkin' Dojo. And then we'll see how things flesh out, because obviously Dunn's going to be really good at coaching them. Honestly, they're probably going to fucking transition Roddy into that role now too, because he signed a fucking 3-year extension and he's not going to the fucking main roster.
Yeah, Roddy's just not a good fit anywhere on the main roster, honestly, at this point. He's very Bobby Roode-ish.
Bobby's got more charisma than Roddy.
Well, Roddy's you get my point, though.
Roddy he really doesn't have a personality unless you give him one, and he's short and he's lightweight. Like he doesn't really fit. Like, and the thing is, he's always played a badass. Like when you're the size of Spike Dudley, you can't go throwing backbreakers around like that on guys on the main roster.
Right. Yeah. Bit of a difficulty there.
You know, like I've worked on shows with Roddy, and I'm a fucking manager, and I tower over him.
So the only person really left to mention before we get into recapping NXT New Year's Evil is Timothy Thatcher being gone.
That
are we at a point where maybe is? I mean, here are to me the only 3 legitimate options that make any sense for Tim.
Mm-hmm.
1, saying fuck all and going back to the Indies.
Mm-hmm.
2, because I could see this happening. Him saying, "Hello, Tom Lawler. Let's really stretch each other out over at New Japan Strong." Mm-hmm. 3, he says, "Fuck all to everything," and just opens his own fucking school.
I could see him going to New Japan Strong and opening his own school at the same time.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I mean, what do you call it? Japanese style is the best fit for him. I don't think he wants to relocate to Japan. AEW is not going to fucking touch him because he will embarrass everyone on their fucking roster.
You think?
Yeah. Like, and plus, like, he'd end up the same fate as everyone else. You get the fucking big grande appearance, have him job for the TNT title, and then get relegated to YouTube with everyone else. And that would be a fucking shame. So let him just go to New Japan Strong, open up a school on the West Coast, let him do a couple of fucking PWG shots here and there, fucking work out a deal with them saying, let my students on these shows. Bob's your uncle.
Thank you very much. So, I'd like to make a proclamation. Henceforth, on Monday, January the 10th, the year 2022, I, Brian Cady, officially declare NXT is dead. No, not a fan.
I don't like anyone saying NXT is dead because it's not. Is it in a very downward? Is it in a fucking gully right now? Yes. Is it sad? Yes. But it's peaks and valleys. It's one of those where we were getting everything we wanted for so long that when what we don't get happens, we feel like everything in the world is ending. Like I said, I'm not happy myself. But to say NXT is dead when literally the new coaches are coming in, you've still got people shining bright there like Carmelo Hayes, who was there when it was still black and gold. It's, how do I put it? I want to put this in a sports terminology that people will understand, that everyone can kind of get behind. It's like, it's like being a Cowboys fan. You had that great fucking run of so many years, and you were at the top of the fucking world.
Except NXT isn't going to be dead in the water for 25 years.
Still, though, what I'm saying is, but they never give up hope.
Unfortunately.
I mean, as a matter of any pro football sports team fan.
I'll give you an even better example.
Go ahead.
Now, you're going to hear the sports team I mentioned, but it's going to make a little more sense. Because I'm a fan of this team, and I could totally relate to... Because when it comes to this team, I'm more optimistic like you are for NXT right now. Mm-hmm. NXT is the New York Yankees.
Thank you.
The Yankees
I would have said that.
Shit. They spoiled the shit out of people of my general age range in our late 20s to late 30s who grew up as children of the Jeter, Posada, O'Neill, Mariano Rivera era of Yankees in the late 90s, early 2000s, that because we haven't won a World Series and we haven't won, we've only won a single World Series in the last 20 years, people lose their shit every fucking season. We don't make it to the World Series, let alone win the World Series. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there being realistic, saying, this team's an 85 win team, might win a playoff series. Like, there's a sense of entitlement to Yankees fans. Whereas now, when I say NXT is dead, obviously I'm being dramatic, but NXT fans are jaded, and really the internet wrestling community in general is a very jaded, fickle group. Oh, I love the word fickle, and I finally got to use it. It's a very fickle group of people where if shit doesn't happen their way, it's the wrong way. And I know it's rough to watch NXT a lot these days, particularly because there's a lot of greenery going around. But if the people starting to do work behind the scenes do the work they are capable of doing and are allowed to do the work they are capable of doing, this is nothing more than a rough patch that every wrestling company went through. WWE went through it in 93, 94, 95 when they were trying to play fucking carnival wrestling with Doink the Clown and Duke the Dumpster Drosy and everybody having a fucking profession like Isaac Yankem DDS going through that whole era. WWE had that post Ruthless Aggression for a few years, even during Ruthless Aggression a little bit. Yeah. There's peaks and valleys to every wrestling company at every point in time because the talents go through a generational change. This is the generational change for NXT. And yes, it doesn't help that there's a global pandemic still going around. But once a pandemic shuts down and things become more flexible with international travel, there is a chance you get a rebirth of the NXT you know and love with more of those talents being available to do international flights or just being able to move in general to the US. It becomes a lot easier at that point. So to all of you that literally think NXT is dead, suck a dick. If you're being sarcastic like me, good for you. That means you understand the wrestling business a little bit.
I actually wanted to add to your analogy because I'm a little bit older than you. My father used to take me to Yankees games when I was between 9 and 12. So you're talking 89 to 92.
Oh, those were bad teams.
My dad's friend had season tickets because season tickets were dirt cheap because they were doing so poorly. Where Yankee Stadium, that giant fucking stadium, would be 2/3 empty.
The Yankees from basically 82 to 93 were abysmal.
Right. I was a little kid walking through that tunnel to the stadium, seeing people selling T-shirts of a caricature of George Steinbrenner standing on a chair, putting his head in a noose.
Yeah.
Like
that was a thing.
So I was there. I was there. I was there before the rise to glory again. So I saw, much like NXT, I was watching when it was on Hulu Plus.
Yep.
And the rise to glory, and then the string of fucking great years, and now we're where we're at now. So it's not dead. It's just things are being handled the wrong way. It's much like your favorite team, how they change a coach, they change their fucking starting lineup, they change a quarterback, whatever, and it ends up not being great. Like, I'm reminded that they did that series at Dark Side of Football on Vice. The entire episode about the Cleveland Browns. That's all I can think of.
It's. I'm trying to pull. Hold on, give me because I'm trying to pull up exactly what you were just talking about.
Oh, the Yankees.
Yes.
My favorite player was Jesse Barfield. He played right field.
Jesse Barfield. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. I like that name. Well done.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Is this really?
Yeah, we had seats fucking right field along the fucking first baseline, like 4 rows deep.
Oof, I can't. Uh, do you remember how much they were by chance?
We never paid for them. It was just my dad's friend had season tickets, and he would give us the tickets to the games he wasn't going to.
Here it is. List of New York Yankees seasons.
We had
Exactly what I
free
was looking
parking and fucking access to the Pinstripe Pub, all that shit.
for. Damn. I can't imagine what those tickets would go for now in the new stadium.
Right?
Oh my god.
I mean,
All
back
right.
then they were selling bleacher seats for $8.
Oof. God damn. All right. So 81. All right. So think of it this way. So the Yankees, I don't know how we got on this kick. So the Yankees made the World Series 4 out of 6 years from 76 to 81. They lost to the Reds in 76, beat the Dodgers in 77 and 78. Didn't make the playoffs in 79, lost in the ALCS in 80 to the Royals, and then lost the World Series to the Dodgers in 81. Then from 82 to 93, I'm not going to include the strike season. 82 to 93, yes. The Yankees ever finished better than second place in the AL East and only had more than 90 wins twice in 83 and 85. And remember, there was no such thing as a wild card until 1995 when the Yankees were the first wild card team ever.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
That sums that up perfectly well. All right. Yeah. One last WWE topic before we wrap up part A of episode 32.
Well, we haven't really covered New Year's Evil at all. You just said NXT is dead.
Yeah. So New Year's Evil. So let's just call a spade a spade. Carmella winning, right move.
Yep.
Mandy retains. Meh.
Raquel better be going to the fucking main roster in the Rumble. That should be the only fucking reason.
I mean,
it's time. Like Raquel has been there since the Full Sail days. She's one of the last remnants of Full Sail.
Agreed. MSK and Riddle beat Imperium.
That was
Is this trying to set up MSK and Imperium and Eichner and Bartel? Probably. When will we get it? Who the fuck knows? My guess, if they're doing a Valentine's Day themed event, maybe then.
Maybe they're going to have MSK try to win the Dusty Cup 2 years in a row. Which honestly, if you're going to do that, just put the kids on the main roster.
Which they teased a little bit because they had that whole interaction with the Creed brothers. Which if they put it on the Creed brothers, just put me into my grave now.
Imagine this. Imagine, if you will, with the smattering of Impact, if we get 1 or 2 Impact tag teams in that Dusty Classic. Imagine the Motor City Machine Guns just show up in the PC.
I thought Alex was done with anything to do with Impact.
Is he?
I know you're talking about a WWE. I don't think Alex has done anything for him. I know Saban's still trolling around, but
yeah,
I thought he was pretty much done and just because doesn't he have oh, what the fuck is that? Oh, he won the belt at an H2O show.
Did he? Shit, I missed that.
Does he have like the IWTV title, I think?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
I can't remember.
I'm just saying.
I remember he won the belt. I want to say it was on an H2O show that Tremont had, and then gave this fucking like speech about indie wrestling or something.
Oh,
like
okay.
That a couple months ago.
Right.
Any hooser, Impact tag teams. I gotta think about that one because
Ace Austin and Doring showing up.
I'd be excited for Ace, but
or even just Ace Austin showing up to challenge Carmelo.
Now I prefer that. That'll work. That'll do, Donkey. That'll do.
But yeah, just I mean, they needed MSK to win to advance their comeback story against Imperium.
You know, it'd be interesting now you just mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought of a name randomly. I don't know where he would fit in. But considering he was so much a part of the NWA rebirth and rebrand with Aldis and all of them
Mm-hmm.
pre-COVID,
Mm-hmm.
imagine Willie Mack just walking out on NXT.
Yeah.
The only problem is with Willie Mack usually comes Rich Swann, and
they could finally put that shit to rest. I mean, Rich was cleared of all that shit. And he's married to the chick that started the shit.
True. Yeah.
And it's NXT. It's not Raw.
And they're having a kid now, too. So
yeah.
Yeah. Touche.
Or what would be beautiful? I know it won't happen, but what would be beautiful? Oh, look. We've got an intergender tag team entering. Here comes Gresham and Jordan.
That would be fucking hilarious, and I would love every second of it. The almost super obvious one would be Heath and Rhino.
Yeah.
Or maybe Eric Young and Fulton.
Maybe.
Those are the ones that really I can think of. Just don't bring back Steve Macklin or Deanna, and you'll be all good.
And here's the thing. With the working with Impact is Vince is obviously willing to work with them, but I guarantee there's a list of Impact talents that are never going to sniff a WWE fucking moment of programming.
I was going to say
all the people that motherfucked him, Deanna, Cardona, fucking what do you call it? Fucking Jonah. Fucking Taya Valkyrie if she comes back.
That just made me think of the scene from The Grinch. Hate, double hate, loathe entirely.
Yes. Like, you motherfucked my company. Guess what? You don't get any TV time.
Oh God, that would be fucking hilarious. Didn't Chelsea Green shit on them too?
Oh yeah.
And she's with Cardona, so naturally she must have shit on them at some point. What else from New Year's Evil I can remember? Oh, so they hype up Styles only to have him come out for a promo, and now they're going to have
the match this week.
What was the fucking point?
To get people to tune in 2 weeks in a row.
Well, no shit. Thank you. What else? Well, this brings us to the big elephant in the room that ended the show. Yeah, I know. And on top of it, he did it with a Steiner recliner. Son of a bitch.
Like that was the salt in the fucking wound. Like, okay, I don't agree with you putting the belt on a guy that's literally only been on TV for 3.5 months and has had less matches than I can count on my hands.
Ciampa tapping is what you don't like.
Exactly. This is the long-term storytelling that fucking Pritchard and Dunn don't fucking get. Ciampa held the fucking title for almost 2 years and was never beaten for it, had to relinquish it, came back from injury, finally got his way, clawed his way back to getting that fucking title, and loses it in his second defense by tapping out to a fucking greenhorn who's had 5 fucking matches.
And the problem is?
For those of you listening to the audio version, you can't see my face right now, but it's a big fuck you.
I was being a smart ass. Come on. Yeah.
You could have easily had fucking Ciampa take the fucking bump through the fucking announcer's table like they did, and then brought back in the ring and fucking had. And here's the problem: you don't know if Braun's a babyface or a fucking heel.
Yeah.
You could have had Braun go over dirty, but no, you had him go over clean and made the possibly the strongest champion NXT has ever had tap out in fucking 10 minutes.
He's a tweener.
And then they have Rick Steiner come in to celebrate afterwards. Like, I don't give a fuck.
When the fuck did that happen? Almost been
After-
off the air.
It was off the air, but Rick Steiner was there in the crowd, and fucking they brought him in, and Ciampa fucking shook his hand and shit, and then him and Braun are like, I don't give a fuck. And once and for all, once and for fucking all, to every fucking internet jackwagon that doesn't want to fucking listen, the reason he is not using the Steiner name is because Scott owns the trademark to it, because that's not their actual last name, and Scott doesn't want to fucking give it to Vince for less than fucking God knows half the money under the sun. It is not creative going, we don't know how to be it. It's Scott is a cunt who doesn't want them to use the name without giving him fistfuls of money.
Why wasn't, this is bringing up a whole question you don't know the answer to, I'm assuming. How was Rick not clued into that? Not clued in, but like how is Rick not part of that?
As far as I know, Rick may own a portion of the trademark, but Scott is pretty much the one that filed the trademark. Because I think Scott filed it like right after WCW closed, and he wanted to be able to retain the name.
Dick.
I mean, wasn't a dick for him at the time. It was just because he knew that that's what would happen.
I mean, obviously, he couldn't think 20 years ahead of time if a son of them was going to fucking, yeah, I mean, sucks for Braun. Oh, I thought of one more thing that I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
So we're going to pretend it's okay that you purposely put plants in the crowd just for Von Wagner to toss over the fucking barricade and into the fucking floor.
Yeah.
Like,
no one's believing that.
No.
You know, that goes back to that fucking bullshit NBC Secrets of Pro Wrestling special that came out in like 1992. Where it's like, the real truth is that Granny is a plant.
Didn't
like,
Fox do one too?
I think you're thinking of the same one, but it was on NBC, not Fox.
Because remember, Fox had like a series of secrets of stuff, and like one of them was Secrets of Magic.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
I think they did a pro wrestling one. I could be wrong.
Yeah, but it's just like everyone, especially when you have it's the row of people in front of all the fucking Chase U fucking students.
Yeah,
like obviously that's the plant section.
And one guy purposely comes down from like the top row just to get tossed over the fucking barricade.
That was the same guy that was like brought up to the fucking roof by Harlan the week before.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's fucking stop trying to make Von Wagner a thing. Stop. It's not working.
Daddy's does not there,
though. No, that's not his dad.
Oh,
his dad is one? Wayne Bloom, not Matt Bloom. Wayne the Train, fucking Bo Beverly. And that's the thing. Wayne Bloom could cut a promo like nobody's fucking business. His son, nope. Wayne Bloom had so much fucking charisma, and it amazes me that he didn't go farther in WWE. I think it was the cocaine. What?
Ikea Kali. Can we call him that?
I call him Great White Kali.
Oh, that works too. That works.
Yeah.
That flows better than me.
But yeah, but like anyone who like this, Von Wagner is proof that second generation doesn't always mean as good.
Yeah.
Because like you go back, 1991 to 1992 AWA was fucking abysmal. It was terrible. But the
Construction Crew,
the Destruction Crew. But the high points of every episode of AWA were the fucking vignette, were the promo segments with fucking Larry Zbyszko and the promo segments with Destruction Crew. Mm-hmm. Like literally every Destruction Crew promo was Eric Bischoff asked a question, Mike Enos says half a word, and then fucking Wayne Bloom goes, "Nah, Mike, I got this," and then just goes off on a cocaine-fueled rant for like 2 minutes straight, and it's wonderful.
Very true. All right. One last thing I want to bring up before we wrap up this part of the episode. So,
before you start,
okay, go ahead.
Before you start, just know that the meme out there with the quote from her is not real.
I didn't even know that existed, so good on you.
Okay, good.
So, holy shit. So, if you caught our episode, our most recent episode, episode 31, which was the last one of 2021, um, that was recorded and released literally hours before news broke that Toni Storm was no longer part of WWE. Now, initially, the reports said that she had been released from WWE. Well, over the course of 24 hours, that story took a complete fucking 180. As the timeline goes, with special help from our friends from Jim Cornette's Drive-Thru, because I listened to that on the way to Baltimore a week and a half ago. Apparently, here's the story. Toni Storm obviously had the women's title match on SmackDown TV. I believe that was the Go Home for Christmas, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was Christmas Eve episode or the week
Yeah,
before
they taped
Christmas.
it a week before. They taped it a week before and aired it on Christmas Eve.
Right. And then that Christmas weekend of live events, Toni Storm was involved in women's title matches with Charlotte, and I want to say it was 3 ways with Sasha as well. Pre-Sasha getting hurt,
yeah.
Which it's not even worth covering because Sasha seems to get hurt every time she's in the ring anyways. That all being said, and the Sasha injury, that's all part of what I want to cover as we get closer to Rumble. As reports go, Toni finished. I don't believe she finished the entire loop. That's the only part I'm not totally sure on. I believe she finished specifically the Sunday night show of the loop.
Yes.
And then basically said, fuck it, I'm going home. From what I recall, and I could be wrong because it's been a week since I listened to the detailings of this happening. But from what I recall, she booked her own travel.
Mm-hmm.
And had made no mention of this happening prior to her saying deuces and leaving. Like, there was no warning signs. There was no attitude change really foreshadowing this happening. She literally just said, fuck it, I'm going home.
I know why.
Please, by all means, go ahead.
Well, no, finish what you're saying, and then I'll get to the thing that no one seems to be addressing.
That pretty much is the end of the story, is that she basically said, fuck it, I'm going home, quit, and basically told, she didn't literally say this, but people were interpreting it as her basically saying, fuck you to Vince and leaving.
Right. So
let's go ahead and dive in.
Right. So a lot of people are aiming at this interview that she did that I believe Brian last read on the drive-thru.
Correct.
But the thing is, it's all a matter of inflection in the way you say things. Because I'm going to read the exact same blurb, but I'm going to read it and it's going to be interpreted a completely different way, which I guarantee is the way Toni Storm was intending it. And this was about getting called up to the main roster and where she was being fed.
And this was a quote from I know exactly the interview you're talking about. She was interviewed by Ryan Satin,
yes,
who does a WWE
Out of Character.
Yes, a WWE produced podcast called Out of Character, and he has a weekly guest on from the WWE roster. And one happened to be Toni Storm in the weeks leading up to this all going down around Christmas.
Right. So most people are familiar with the interview. However, when you read it with a certain inflection, it is completely different from reading it verbatim, and I will explain. So, here's Toni Storm. So when you're sitting in catering, it's not a good feeling. Just sitting there waiting for your shot, waiting for your big break, waiting to show everyone what you've worked all your life to be good at. And then you sat there asking, when am I next? What's happening? And now when stuff starts happening, I'm like, what's going on? Oh my God, what is my life? Completely different inflection.
And that sounds just like the way I think she said it too.
Exactly. Which is, I was sitting in catering and holy shit, now I'm in the main event.
Yeah.
It's not, oh my God, what is my life? That's not what it was. Here's the elephant in the room that no one's talking about. We just hit a spot where how many fucking people in production and on the main roster just came down with COVID out of nowhere?
Mhm.
Where's Toni from?
New Zealand?
Yes.
Mhm.
What happened when COVID got out of control in the States before?
Wait, come again?
What happened when COVID got out of control in the States during the first wave? What happened in New
Lockdown,
Zealand?
lockdown.
New
They
Zealand
locked
was on
shit down and became the forefront of how to do things properly to get rid of COVID.
exactly. And during that time, Toni was stuck in the UK.
Correct.
So here she is in the US where they are touring to all these states that have COVID levels rising because of Delta and Omicron and people being stupid fucks who won't get vaccinated or wear masks.
Mm-hmm.
She's in arenas full of people not wearing masks every fucking day. And all she can think about is the last fucking time this shit happened, how she didn't get to see her family for a fucking year and a half. So she said, oh my God, this shit's happening again. New Zealand's going to go on lockdown again. I can't take another year to 2 years without seeing my family. So she explained this, and that's why Vince granted her letting her quit without it. Everyone's like, Tony's going to show up in AEW. Tony's showing up at home. I guarantee that it was an amicable thing where Toni pled her case about her family in New Zealand and her worry about the COVID and her worry about the lockdowns. And Vince, as hard-headed as he is, would actually sit there and go, you know something, you're right. So, and I guarantee there was probably a handshake agreement of you're not going to show up on fucking on TBS next week.
And I don't think she would have ever wanted to, anyways.
Right. And that's why she just said deuces, paid for her own flight home, and went home. Because we're hitting a fucking stride now where shit is not getting better. And we're going to be going in. The lockdown's going to fucking happen again because people are fucking idiots. And she wants to be with her family.
And here's the one thing I think that's being missed a little bit, too. You look back in the history of this company, especially recent history, if there's anything that Vince has a soft spot for, and let's admit, Vince doesn't have many soft spots, but if he has any, it's anything relating to health and family.
Right.
And, like, for example, think of how they approached the situation with Roman when he got sick.
Exactly.
Think of Seth and Becky when they were getting ready for child. Like, he's very, that's like one of the few soft spots where he's very chill and understanding, it seems like.
Right.
So to me, that all makes sense.
Right. There's no reason why Toni, who was still, for all intents and purposes, was still in the main event picture on SmackDown. She had one loss to Charlotte. That was it. There is no way she said, fuck this, I'm never going to get my due, when she's literally in the fucking main event and says, I could do better elsewhere. That's not what happened.
Should we just keep things real for a second?
Yeah.
Because we mentioned this earlier, and now that we mentioned Toni Storm, we can put one and one together for everybody listening or watching.
Sure.
And we can make this a full circle episode.
Mm-hmm.
No pun intended with the use of full circle. Toni Storm leaving is why Charlotte's in the Royal Rumble match.
Exactly.
Because if Toni Storm doesn't leave, it's Toni Storm at Rumble with Becky and whoever for that woman's title.
Right.
You have the Lashley Brock title match. Roman Seth, one would assume at this point.
Yeah.
And then you would have the 2 Rumble matches and maybe one other.
Right.
That's it. That's your card.
Yep.
But because of Toni leaving, now this isn't me putting this isn't me putting an entire women's division on to Toni to blame for that. But
they haven't built up anyone else in the interim.
Right. So it's one of those things where, okay, if A, then B.
Right. That's a problem that's been facing every fucking aspect of the creative team except for the creative team on Raw, is them not building up a plan B in the interim. They didn't do it for NXT, for the NXT title. They haven't done it for the Universal title. They haven't done it for the SmackDown Women's title. They haven't done it for the Intercontinental title.
So I'm going to ask one more question.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to wrap up this part of the episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, this title might not make sense, but I'm going to expound upon this in a moment. So we know about all these cuts that have been happening over the last 18 months, roughly. And we also know about COVID starting to really take hold all over again.
Yep.
We're not quite at this point yet, but is it possible in the next, let's say, 12 to 24 months? Now, I don't think it is, but I'm just posing the question. Is it possible we could see a return to days of yore where a single roster covers both TV shows? And the only reason I mention this is because there's enough time and space where you could hypothetically do Monday night, go home, spend 2 days home, and then go back on the road for a Friday night TV. And do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, home Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
They could, but I don't think they're going to.
I agree.
That's got to come. I think that's going to come down to the whole TV contract thing. Because then Fox is going to sit there going, well, what the fuck did we pay for? Exactly.
That's the only reason I think it's feasible, but not possible. Like you were saying, like it's a feasible concept, but the execution of that concept is a totally different story than the concept itself. Conceptually, it sounds wonderful because less people at risk means more healthy bodies. Right. But actually doing it is a totally different animal in itself because, again, you now have your two shows split between two different networks instead of having them all within the same family like you had at one point.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It was one of those passing thoughts where, I don't know, like, it's one of those things where, like we mentioned with NXT, there's been peaks and valleys with this whole Raw SmackDown separate roster thing.
Yeah.
And it just makes you think, like, once in a while, especially in the case of the society we're in right now with Delta and Omicron, like, it's not a horrible idea. It's just not feasible at this point just because of the way TV contracts have worked out.
Right.
But, all right, just a passing thought I'd just lay on everyone before we wrapped up the WWE portion of episode 32. Mm-hmm. So that does that. The next showing you'll see of our pretty faces, we're going to be laying out everything from New Japan Wrestle Kingdom, Impact, AEW, TF, all kinds of shit. So take a quick moment, breathe, use the bathroom, grab a snack, grab a drink, grab a glass of the bubbly, whatever you want to do, and look out for part 2 coming up. See you in a minute.